Hey guys, hello and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are doing a highly requested video, which is a tutorial on how I make my XL scrunchies. Ever since I first mentioned that I was going to be making XL scrunchies, I've been inundated with requests on a tutorial and the measurements and things like that. So in today's video we are going to make a scrunchie from the start to the finish. We're going to talk about the fabric, the measurements, the elastic, the sewing of it, and everything. Okay, so if you want to see how I make these XL scrunchies, keep watching. Don't forget to like that video and subscribe as well. It really helps support my channel. And without further ado, let's get straight into making these scrunchies. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is talk about fabrics. So you can use any kind of fabric to make a scrunchie. You can use cotton and satins and things like that, but the particular fabrics I like to use for XL scrunchies is satins and chiffons and lighter fabrics like that. So in today's video we are going to use this chiffon fabric. It's a lightweight kind of sheer fabric, not super sheer, but yeah, you can, if you hold your hand up to it, you can see your hand through this fabric. So it is a lightweight fabric, and these are the kinds of fabrics I like to use for some like XL scrunchies, because you can use a lot of fabric, it keeps it nice and plump without like drowning the elastic, if that makes sense. So that's the kind of fabrics we're going to use. So we're going to use this one today, and we have a nice yellowy orange toned cotton. So I've got a little bit on my bobbin and I've got the cotton as well. This particular one is Aerofill and it is number 120. If anyone's curious. So we're going to thread up the machine and then we're going to cut the fabrics. Before I put the cotton on, I am just going to give the little foot a clean in here and clean in the bobbin holder. And I've already put in a satin needle. We want to use a finer needle for this fabric so it doesn't pull, and you want a nice sharp needle as well. Okay, so now that we have the sewing machine all threaded up, we're going to cut our fabric. So I'm going to fold mine right side together because that's the way I'm going to sew it, so it's just easier to cut it that way. And I have already cut my elastic. We are using the 2 centimeter non-rolled ribbed elastic. You can use whatever thickness you want, and we've cut this at 20 centimeters. Okay, so our fabric is going to be 15 centimeters wide and we're going to cut it 80 centimeters long. Now I've folded mine in half, so it is going to be 40 centimeters by 15. And I'm also going to use the rotary cutter because it's so much easier. Okay, so I'm going to be putting a label in mine. If you are not, then just go straight across, but we are going to sew the shorter seams together first. and we're just doing straight stitch. So I'm just putting my label in now. Okay, so we have the label all sewn in now. Now there's two ways of doing this. So we're going to be doing the burrito method. So I like to fold my seam together here and then push in the inner part of the fabric. So you've got like this, and then I like to push this all the way in, so we are only sewing one bit of fabric, if that makes sense. So push that in, and then we are just sewing these two pieces together all the way down. Or the other way of doing it is to bring your fabric like this, so that your seam is now in the middle. So your seam is now in the middle, fold your seam in together, and then grab this piece and this piece together and sew down like that. But I like to do it again, seams together, pushing in the middle part. So this part is going right in so you don't catch it as you're sewing, and then we're just going to sew straight down here. Okay, so I just like to use a spoon. This is a clean spoon that's never been used, and I stick it in the hole fetch the other inner fabric tube and just pull it through the hole. Okay, so now that we have the tube, we're going to thread the elastic. So with the elastic, I use a safety pin and I just attach it to the corner of the elastic, thread it through the hole. And so that I don't have to worry about holding the elastic or losing the elastic, I just get a little alligator clip and attach it to the end. Otherwise you could use a safety pin and attach it to the inner seam right at the edge. And then we just thread this through. All the way around until you get back to the opening. Making sure that it hasn't twisted at all inside. Take out the safety pin and the alligator clip. Now this part's not necessary, but I like to glue my elastic first before sewing it, just because it's less fiddly. So I just put a little bit on there. Put my alligator clip back on there. As I've said many times, this fabric glue takes forever to dry, but we're using it all up. So I normally wait like 10 minutes, although normally I have a whole bunch. So by the time I've done this, the first one's ready, but we're just going to wait for 10 minutes. Then we're going to sew the elastic and then do the final seam. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes or so. So I like to pull the elastic through as much as possible. And we're just going to do a few stitches, a couple of straight stitches across here, just to hold the elastic so there's no issues of it coming undone. Okay, so when I stitch my elastic, I like to try and get it as close as possible to where the two pieces of elastic meet, so that there's not a big roll up here, so you can barely even feel it. And it holds really strong. Okay, so now that we have the elastic all sewn in and it's nice and strong, we are just going to wiggle the elastic back in to the hole. And then we just need to sew, it's probably really hard to see, but we need to sew the finishing seam here. So try and get your seams all tucked in, so it's nice and flat. And when I do this, I like to try and get as close as possible to the edge. And that's why I like to keep my holes nice and small, so that there's not too much thread on the outside. Okay, so you just want to trim up your threads. Focus, and that is the seam. So it's nice and small, as you can see, and really close to the edge. Okay, and so that is how you make an XL scrunchie. Like I said, it's very similar to my other scrunchies, it's just a lot more fabric. Chiffon and satin are a little bit harder to sew with, so just play around with it. They're a lot slipperier, so try maybe with some cotton first, see how you go with that. But yeah, it's a pretty simple way of making scrunchies and I think they are beautiful. Let me know in the comments below if you give this a try, if there's anything you would change differently, whether you like the thickness or whatever. I would love to hear if you guys give this method a go. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next one.